Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about signs of low self-worth and what you can begin to do to heal that. Now, if you are new to my channel, my name is Tertia. I'm a feminine embodiment coach, and if you're a regular viewer, then welcome back. Many of the women that I work with come to me because they want to build their self-esteem, they want to build their confidence, they want to deepen their self-love. And one of the things that we almost always identify is that there is a sense of, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not good enough, I am too much, that underlies the way that they see themselves. So it's quite normal for us to go through phases, or, like one day you might feel very good about yourself, the next day you might feel down. And that's normal because we are always going to relate to ourselves or have a perception about ourselves based on what's going on in our lives. Based on what's going on in your finances or in your relationship, or if you've got a holiday planned, if you've got something fun coming up, that's going to affect the way that we feel about ourselves. But for many women, there is this thread or this current that runs through everything where they just don't experience themselves as worthy. They don't see their own value just as who they are. And we don't often realize that this is the cause of why we don't get what we want in our lives, why we feel unfulfilled, why we don't attract the relationships or the partners that we want. So I'm going to take you through some of the signs of having a low self-worth, and then I'll also be sharing with you how you can begin to heal that. So as I'm talking through this, feel into that, see if any of these signs resonate with you, and then I think you're going to find the tips that I have for you to be very, very helpful. So one of the first things that I see a lot is that overthinking and overanalyzing is really linked to our self-worth. So typically this would be, let's say you're meeting a friend for coffee or for lunch, and you're not really present in the moment because you're thinking about what it is that you want to say, you're worried about what is she thinking about you, so you're spending a lot of time in your head, over-analyzing and over-processing and overthinking, instead of just being there in the moment, enjoying whatever it is that you're having with your friend. It also could happen that afterwards, after you've had a conversation with someone, after you've had a meeting at work, when you go home or when you're on your own, you keep on replaying this situation over and over. And you keep on thinking about, oh, I should have said this. What did they mean when they said that? And you really put a lot of emphasis on what went wrong, what you should have done differently, what they might think of you. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that while you are busy processing all of this in your head, while you're busy over-analyzing and overthinking, you're completely removing yourself from the present moment. You're feeding into your inner critic, and that inner critic is the thing that keeps your self-worth dampened down and locked in. Yeah, your inner critic is the thing that keeps on telling you you are not good enough. It doesn't matter what you do, you're never going to be good enough. You're not allowed to do that. You can't have that. Who are you to even imagine that you are enough just as you are? Okay, and as I say in all of my videos, these things run on a subconscious level, so we don't know that we think in this way. And so through the work that I do with my clients, this is what we begin to unravel. This is what we begin to identify as, this is actually what's going on inside of me. This is what I'm actually feeling. This is what's underlying my actions. So that's quite an obvious way of how a low self-worth plays out. The other one that's not so obvious, but which is, I think, a lot more prevalent, is that we are overachievers. So to me, overachieving is really a sign of having to overcompensate really for having a low self-worth. I know certainly for me, this was the truth. Yeah, I was very hard on myself, and I pushed myself to all kinds of extremes to really perform and do well and be successful so that I could kind of prove to myself that I am worthy. But of course, it doesn't work like that, because those external accomplishments, the things that you're changing in the outside world, that has got nothing to do with how you feel about yourself. We have to really go inside and do the work on the inside in order to change how we feel about ourselves. The third one that I want to talk to you about is how we hide ourselves. So what this plays out as: when you are in a social situation, you are the observer rather than the participant. So you don't really put yourself out there, you don't really risk yourself. And what it also could play out as, say you meet someone for the first time, instead of just being yourself, instead of just showing up as you are, warts and all, you become this person that you imagine this potential partner would like. So it's a mask that we put on. We hide ourselves behind masks because we are afraid that we are flawed. And so you have to hide that. You can't let anyone see your true self, in case people don't love you for who you are, in case people reject you, in case you get into trouble. So all of these ways in which your low self-worth shows up is going to affect your confidence. It is going to affect your decision making. It is going to affect your peace of mind. Yeah, if you're always running around like a hamster wheel, always running around in your mind and overanalyzing things, that's exhausting. Suppressing yourself and trying to be something that you're not in order to be loved, that takes up a lot of energy. And just imagine if you are able to use that energy that you're using to suppress yourself. Just imagine if you can begin to use that energy to like show up in the world and to be radiant and magnetic and abundant. So use that energy for good. Now, I get very annoyed when I hear some well-meaning people say, stop caring about what other people think, and, stop being so hard on yourself and just love yourself more. None of that, in my opinion, is possible unless we work on finding that deep-rooted sense of our own self-worth. Now, the thing is, if you have a deep-rooted sense of your own self-worth, this is when you can start upholding strong boundaries. Your relationships become healthier because you're able to communicate without fear of rejection, and you can ask for what you want, and you can give your partner what they need without feeling that you have to hold back, and without feeling resentment for giving too much, that you're overgiving, or that you're just satisfying their needs. So it really has such a big influence on the relationship dynamics that we have. And also, because of the decisions that you make, when you start making confident decisions, you begin to vibrate and resonate and attract things into your life that is really aligned with who you are at your core. So your life starts working out. And even if you're still going to get challenges, because that's life, right? We're always going to have struggles that we have to work through. You're going to be better equipped. You're going to be more resilient to slide through that instead of defaulting back to this habitual, you're not good enough. It's your fault that things are like this. I'm wondering if you can see that our self-worth infiltrates and filters into so many areas of our lives. And if any of these things that I shared resonated with you, if you can see something of yourself in that, then let us know in the comments below. And now I'm going to share with you 2 things that I think are going to be so helpful to begin to heal your self-worth. And the first thing has to do with the way that you think. And I speak about this a lot in my other videos. We have these patterns and these neural pathways, and we always show up in the same way. So the brain goes, I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. I've got a shortcut. I've got a program that I run in certain situations. So what we want to do, first of all, is to become aware. if this autopilot program is running. So begin to notice, is your inner critic being activated? Is that self-doubt being activated? Is that self-flagellation or the self-judgment or even the judgment onto others, is that activated? Because that's also something that you might notice, is a lot of times we judge things that we see in other people, but we judge it in them because it's a reflection of what is inside of us. And when you then begin to work with consciously working with healing your self-worth, that's also something that you're going to identify, is that your criticism of both yourself and of other people is going to become less. So the first thing is to become conscious of, how is this self-worth of mine? How is this pattern playing out in my life? And then notice every time the programs are activated, and every time you automatically step into the role of victim, or into the role of I'm sorry, or into the role of I don't deserve this, I have to get other people to prove my value before I can believe it in myself. So that's the first thing. And then what we want to do is learn to be more kinder to ourselves. Now, if I think back when I started doing this work around healing my own self-worth, the way that I used to talk to myself, if I was my own friend, I'd stop being friends with me. And I think many of us do that, right? So just for a moment, reflect a little bit on, how do you talk to yourself? How do you speak to yourself when you make a mistake? Or how do you even speak to yourself when you've achieved something, when you did something well? And when we have a very strong inner critic, when we have like this negative self-talk, which is again what keeps that self-worth of ours completely like locked down, you're going to find that you're always breaking yourself down. And autopilot says continue breaking yourself down, because this is a program that I know and that my brain gets activated into. But when you consciously begin to speak to yourself with kindness, this is how we start to reparent ourselves. This is how we bring more compassion for ourselves and more self-love into our lives. And you can begin to break down then these barriers of criticism and self-loathing by beginning to be more kinder to yourself. So I'm curious to find out how this video landed for you. And please share your thoughts with me in the comments below. Share this video with someone who you think might find it helpful. Go on, be kind to yourself, be kind to me, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.